we signed a letter of intent to acquire a 51 megawatt facility in Oklahoma. And a key aspect of this is the electricity cost, which is obviously the main component input cost to Bitcoin mining. All of these sites are below 4 cents a kilowatt hour, and I believe the Oklahoma facility is close to 3 cents a kilowatt hour. So very, very competitive electricity rates for all these sites that we're owning, and you'll continue to see us do that going forward.
All right, welcome back inside our proactive newsroom. And joining me now is Charlie Brady. He is the Vice President of Investor Relations for BitFuFu. And Charlie, it's good to see you. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, excited to learn a bit more about what's going on with the company. I know you had some recent news out. We'll talk about that in just a second. But give us a bit of background on this company, BitFuFu.
Yeah, sure. So BitFuFu came public on NASDAQ March 1st of last year. And so the company is really a technology-driven Bitcoin mining and mining services company. So we not only mine Bitcoin for ourselves, but we have a cloud mining operation where we effectively sell or lease hash rate to customers to allow them to mine Bitcoin directly without having to go involved in all the upfront costs and the complexities of doing that.
Yeah, and what sort of companies do you do on the cloud side of it? I found that really interesting.
Yeah, I mean the cloud business was really the basis of the formation of the company. Probably went public about 5 or 6 years ago. We do have a #1 market share globally in cloud mining, and I think one of the differences in our cloud mining business, and what you might find in other companies out there, most of whom are private, is really the transparency level. So you can, as a customer, once you sign the contract, you can view in real time what is being mined. It goes directly to the customer's wallet, so it doesn't go to us and then to the customer. It goes from the pool to the customer's wallet, and it's full transparency of what you're seeing on a real-time basis.
Yeah. You recently had out your January 2025 numbers, and again showing growth, but also you continue to be positive as well. Pretty happy with what you saw in January?
Yeah, I think so. We're continuing to grow with our hosting capacity under contract, as well as our mining capacity, the exahash per second. And, I think if you look in December, January, there was a slight dip. Some of that was related to some leasing contracts coming offline. Also, we're in the process of upgrading a number of our mining rigs. So when those mining rigs are off, then obviously not generating Bitcoin. But I think, we're on an upward trajectory of doing that. And as we'll talk about in a minute here, we're obviously adding additional capacity into our system for you own the sites.
Yeah, and Charlie, just about the miners themselves, that's a real key to how successful a company can be, by continually to invest in the upgrading of those to make them faster and quicker and more energy efficient.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you look at our efficiency rate over the past 10 or 11 quarters, you see a generally downward trend, which is what you want to see. The more efficient as the cost goes down. And one key reason we've been able to really do that is because traditionally we have leased a majority of our miners. We own a very small percentage of that, but the vast majority of the leases are on shorter-term leases. And so when those leases expire, we're able to just release machines, the next generation of machines, if you will. And so we're always not having to recapitalize an entire fleet of older machines, as you find from a lot of other miners out there. And our relationship with Bitmain, which is a strategic investor in the company, really gives us fantastic access to the latest machines that are out there. In fact, we recently signed an 80,000 machine 2-year framework agreement with Bitmain that allows us to get up to 80,000 machines in the next 2 years. These are all going to be S series, S21s, S20 speed, which will be the latest models, most efficient models ever.
Okay. You sort of hinted at some more recent news that you had out. Big news, in fact, that you've made an acquisition in Oklahoma, and real positives about the location of where this is, and that it's basically by itself and no one around it. But more so, it gives you obviously more megawatts.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, traditionally the company has leased all of the hosting capacity. And last year we made a decision strategically to pivot, start looking to own our own capacity. So we made our first acquisition in October of a facility in Ethiopia, 80 megawatts, joint venture ownership there, majority venture ownership. In December, we signed 2 long-term leases with option to buy for 2 sites in the U.S., 33 megawatts. And then most recently, as you mentioned, Oklahoma, we signed a letter of intent to acquire a 51 megawatt facility in Oklahoma. And a key key aspect of this is the electricity cost, which is obviously the main component input cost to Bitcoin mining. All of these sites are below 4 cents a kilowatt hour. And I believe the Oklahoma facility is close to 3 cents a kilowatt hour. So very, very competitive electricity rates for all these sites at Aroni, and you'll continue to see us do that going forward.
And Charlie, just lastly, that this is all strategically done because you're trying to get the company to 1 gigawatt. Is that sort of what you're doing in this year, or is that to follow in years to come?
Yeah, what we said is we plan, and we said this about a month ago or so, that we want to add 1 gigabyte of capacity by the end of 2026. So essentially over a 2-year period. And I think once we close on the Oklahoma facility, we'll effectively get 164 megawatts of that, 1 gigawatt. And, we've got a pipeline of potential deals that we're looking at evaluating somewhere in the neighborhood of 700 megawatts today. So pretty full pipeline, and we're well on our way to getting that 1 gigabyte.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to continue following your story. Again, listen on the NASDAQ, FUFU is the ticker symbol. And Charlie, great to see you. And thanks very much for the update. Really appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks for the time.
All right. Charlie Brady, Vice President of Investor Relations for BitFuFu.